I get it. Scared. It's scary out here. We either do something about it or we run from it. Let me tell you my story. Is that in 2007 and 2008, we had real problems, like severe problems. It wasn't like people weren't buying houses. Like you couldn't even fund a house. It was crazy. So I remember as clear as day, one of my loan officers, I had an office of like, I don't know, I'd say 13 loan officers. We were doing really, really well. And one went to a closing and they, the title company came in and stopped the closing and said, we have to cancel the closing. Countrywide just shut down. Now Countrywide was like the big bank back then, like right now, like your United Wholesale Mortgage or your Quicken, like it was the big bank. And I mean, I'm gonna keep this as short as possible, but then it was day after day after day, another bank closed. So we look at the real estate market now, we're saying how hard, how god awful it is. It's not hard, it's different. However, what do you think would happen if you couldn't fund a loan at all? Like you couldn't get a mortgage to buy a house, or people that were in adjustable rate ARMs couldn't afford to even refinance out of them. You couldn't. So that's the beginning, right? And the worst, and it got worse and worse and worse. I remember going home at night, sit on the couch with my then wife, and Susie Orman would be on TV. Like we were watching the news. We were watching the news so we knew what was gonna happen. And I remember Susie Orman sitting there saying Americans were gonna be standing in a bread line. I still hate the lady to this day for that, because I looked over and my ex-wife sitting there just crying, right? Day after day it got worse. She got laid off from her job. She's a teacher. They're cutting all kinds of teacher positions, where now they're begging people to come be a teacher. And it got to the point where we couldn't pay any bills. I had an office with rent, leases, copy machines, faxes, all that jazz, and I just couldn't pay the bills anymore. And every day I'd show up to work, there'd be one less loan officer there, until finally one day it was me and this dude Sean, and our receptionist Star. Shout out to Star, she held us down, and we just couldn't do anything, man. I remember one day sitting in my car and just crying because there was nothing I could do, at least that I thought of at that time. And luckily, I got some help from the guys at Van Dyke Mortgage. The owner, Tom Van Dyke, and my old boss, Charlie Sundstrom, showed up, and they liked the equipment I had, so they bought the equipment I had out, and offered me a position to start a retail division of Van Dyke Mortgage. And at that time I owned an office of Van Dyke Mortgage, so I went and I did that. And the thought of going home every day, my wife and I used to go to Angel Tree Ministry. Shout out to Angel Tree Ministry, and they would give us a box of food each week, like potato, like real, like food, not like fat, not like frozen food, like some potatoes and some piece of meat, maybe some bread, powdered milk, stuff like that. And dude, it just, everything's falling like dominoes. One house got foreclosed on, then another one, and it got to the point where I'm choked out to, there was no other option other than to file bankruptcy. All kinds of other funny stuff has happened at that time too, because you'll notice when times get hard that people start doing some really shady things and doing whatever they can to survive. And that's why it's one of the things that I am totally in disbelief of, and I won't. It's why I choose to be around very positive people, very strong people, people that have hope, because they're less likely, for one, to do something out of this world and crazy and selfish to me or anybody that I love. And number two, they inspire me and support me in a way that they don't even know. So we eventually got to the point is this: we had a shift to change the business. So up until that time, my whole career, I had never, 8-9 years of my career up to that point, I had never, ever, ever done a purchase loan. It was all refinances. And when you guys talk about rates today being high at like 7%, 6%, I mean, back then there were 9, 11, 12. When I first got in the industry, it was 17. So I made a shift, and I remember my boss Charlie said one day, well, you know, what are we gonna do? Every day people are giving us flyers, like the marketing department we didn't even have yet, but we had Katrina Cole was with us. She's awesome too. Shout out to her. She you know, give us different flyers, catchy things to go drop off at real estate agents' offices. And like I said, up until this point, I had never done a real estate transaction that was a purchase. That was a purchase. So not only did I have to learn how to do the purchase, but I had to go out there and get the relationships with the real estate agents. Now that's where things got fun. The fun of it, right? What made it fun? So the first thing that we did coming out of the collapse in a shifted market, the word shift, is first off, I had to stop being handicapped and traumatized by what was going on, right? I had to be confident and know that we can get through this. And the first thing we did is we formulated a plan. So when you have a plan, you're getting prepared. You have a lack of anxieties per se when you have a plan. We put together a plan to go out and find out people's wants and needs first, right? So the art of selling is to not sell. It's to find out what someone's problem is or wants and needs and solve that for them. And show them how you can solve it and how you're the best at solving it. So we put together a plan. We wanted to meet with 60 realtors in 60 days. And what we did is we failed. We stopped short about 22, 24. And the reason why that is because it was very apparent that everybody had the same wants and needs. And that's cool. So the next thing we did is we went and we put something together. We went and put together a process that met and solved the needs of our real estate partners and our consumers as well. So we had some perfect process or something like that. I can't remember. But when we put that together, the next step was to go out, and now that we've listened, was to show our sphere of influence real estate partners what our process was and what that would do for them. And that began our transition into where we're at now with Van Dyke Mortgage. And my team essentially is we converted from being 100% refinance team to being 99% purchase transaction business, all referrals. So that's where we're at. Now on the back side of this, what was going on is I had got to the point where I had to give up my house where I was living. ran out of time. Probably could have milked it for a while, but ran into a good friend from the past, and she was selling her home in Middleville, Michigan, where I live. This home was quite a bit smaller than where I was coming from, but beggars couldn't be choosers at that time. And I was lucky enough that she allowed us to land contract it. We had a certain amount of years that we knew and a credit score goal we had to get to. And 3 years later, we bought the house. And so that was cool. The greatest thing about these times when things are difficult is in the future, right? Is now looking back, seeing what we did and what we were able to accomplish and what that did for our family, our legacy, the people around us, and what I'm able to help people out with today. And it feels good. So what I'm getting at is don't give up on this yet. This is the greatest time, opportunity in our market to gain market share. And by market share, I mean your unfair share. It's time for you to stop being scared. It's time for you to leverage the people around you who are doing great things. Find somebody who's doing it and ask them how they're doing it. And then take those clues and run with them. This is your time. This is our time. We can make this happen. Those who don't make it are just leaving a spot open for you. So if you need anything at all, whether it comes to making a plan, figuring out your money-making activities, figuring out just where to start and how to track and how to measure things, holler at me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. And I just wish that I would have had like the Hero Nation and people like myself around back in 2008. Would have made it a little smoother, but I think it's all for a reason. I went through it so I can help you get through it. Anthony Mosley. That's my story. Part of it. A lot of stuff missing in between, but there'll be a book someday. Peace.